as the rules for multiplication. So, I actually don't think they wrote it any like this, but if you have like negative 30 divided by negative 3 divided by negative 2, would this come out positive or negative? Negative. Yeah, it's because division and multiplication are kind of the same thing. Dividing by negative 3 is the same thing as multiplying by negative 1/3. So the rules for multiplying and dividing are the same when it comes to negatives. All right, so anyway, this would be negative if there's 3 negatives, just like yesterday. Actually, I don't think they're doing that on this assignment, but if it does come up down the road, that's how it goes. All right, so 1 negative makes a negative, 2 negatives makes a positive. You guys know what this one's going to be?
0.
Yeah, 0 divided by anything. If you do like, say, 0 divided by 5, that means 0 cookies split among 5 people. How many cookies does each person get? 0. So 0 divided by anything is 0. Okay, but what's something divided by 0? Okay, this means 5 cookies split among 0 people. How many cookies does each person get?
0.
Okay, there are no people. Let me say it again. 5 cookies split among 0 people. How many cookies does each person get?
0.
No, there's no people, so the question doesn't make any sense. Why don't you guys try plugging this in your calculator? Use the division sign.
I got
You could do fraction. No. 0 could go into 5
It says
infinite.
math error.
Yeah, it says math error.
Okay,
Guys.
because this is nonsense, okay? 5 split 0 times, how many is in each group? There aren't any groups, so it doesn't make any sense. So this is nonsense. So this is, the way the book writes it is just undefined. It doesn't make any sense, basically. But this one does make sense. 0 divided however many times is going to stay 0. 0 doesn't go into 5 because no matter how many zeros you put together, it's never going to equal 5. It just doesn't work. All right. Anyway, so watch out for those. They're easy if you know what to do. Just keep track. If you forget which is which, just plug it in your calculator. 0 divided by anything is 0. Anything divided by 0 doesn't work. Nonsense. Okay. Let's talk about the fun ones. Okay. You guys remember how to do these without a calculator?
No. No.
Okay. Which one goes in the box? Yeah, 3.15. You might just say, is this going to be positive or negative? Negative. So you might just like put that up there at the beginning. Does anybody remember what we do first on?
Move the decimal.
Yeah, this decimal moves over,
That and then that.
and then this one has to do the same. So the decimal is going to be right here, which means in the answer, the decimal is going to be right there. So now it's just 315 divided by 5. So how many times does 5 go into 31? 6. So 6 goes above the 1, the last digit, 31. 6 times 5 is 30. Subtract. Bring down the next digit, start over. How many times does 5 go into 15? 3. So this would just be negative 63. If the decimal's at the end, that just means there's no fraction or decimal place. You could put 0.0, but that doesn't really do anything. It's just negative 63. All right, and then division. Let's throw some negatives in there. Alright, this is going to be positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. So we can kind of forget the negatives. Trace, do you remember what to do on these? Okay, which one flips though?
5
Right, the second one. So this becomes 3/4 times 8/5. And when we multiply fractions, what do we need to do? Cross cancel, like reducing. So what goes into 8 and 4? What can we divide both of these by? 4. You can divide by 2, but it wouldn't be enough to completely reduce it. So divide by 4, you get 1, and 8 divided by 4, 2. And top times top, and bottom times bottom. It's improper. Do we need to change that? No. That's it. Okay. Let's get started. Anybody want to volunteer? Okay, and number 1.
Wow, that's really hard. I think it's 9.
It is 9.
Can we use our calculators a little sooner because it's negative 2,352 divided by negative 56.
Where are you looking at?
I was just looking at like all of it, like 8 and 7. Like, I don't realize.
Look at number 13.
Bro, he just knew.
That's their code.
Y'all are late to class.
Who is it?
Oh, wait. It's like a bunch of girls. Feels like Whitley, Skylar, like Ashley or whatever, and like 2 other girls.
Alright. Which one were you complaining about?
7 and 8.
7, 8, 13.
Well, I'll tell you on the A section, there are no fraction answers or decimal. So they should work out nicely. And yeah, you're going to have to do it. Sorry. Oh, no, I'm going to do work. Okay, let's see. Who wants to go next? Savannah or Layton? Yeah, number 3. Do you remember what I said about that? No. Easy, yeah. Might want to, so when I write something down like that, you might want to take a note, because that's easy to forget, right? So this one is 0. This one's undefined. Easy to get right, easy to get wrong. So 3 is undefined. Logan, number 5. I hope you guys remember your times tables. There's no fractions or decimals up here on number. Logan, do you remember number 5 off the top of your head? Is it going to be positive or negative? Negative. Do you remember what it was? No. So 6 times what equals 54? 9. So it's going to be negative 9. Do you guys know the 9s trick? I'm not going to talk about this very well. There's a few 9s tricks. You see a pattern in these answers?
They're increasing by. Yeah, they're increasing by 9.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay. Yeah. It's way back in 3rd grade when I memorized these. This is the trick I used.
We're just calling it that.
The first digit is 1 smaller than this.
Wow.
And what do these 2 digits add up to?
That big one.
9. You guys see the pattern? Anyway, that goes.
So you were always destined to be a math teacher.
There's a finger trick. But anyway, that works too. I forgot where I was at. Callie, go to bed at a reasonable hour. We're on number 7. Well, okay, 7 is one of those that's not in our times table, so how are we gonna figure this out? Negative 84. Callie, any ideas? How can we figure that out? Okay, anybody else? Any guesses? How could we figure this out?
You do.
Hmm?
Do the long division, right?
We're dividing.
Well, we could write it out as long division, but it wouldn't really help us much, because either way, we'd still have to figure out.
How many
Yeah.
times 8 can go in the big one?
Yeah, so basically, the question is, the number of times 84 goes into 588 will be probably about the same that 8 goes into 58.
6. No,
Yeah.
no, 7. 7.
Yeah, 6 is times 8 is 48. That's kind of a little bit small. 7 times 8 is 56. But you still, so it's gonna be like 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. That gives you an idea. But how do we check it? Multiply and just see if it works. 7 times 8 plus 2. 7 times 8 is 56, plus 2 is 58. It comes out perfect. So, and don't forget, right, Joe? It's negative.
Huh?
So don't forget your negative.
Oh, yeah.
Got you yesterday. Be ashamed to do all the hard work and then get it wrong still. All right. Number 9. Okay, kind of the same thing. I'd use estimation. So what's 198 really close to? 200. And this is kind of close to 20, right? How many times does 20 go into 200? You guys know that one? 10. Yeah, 20 times 10 is 200. So this should go into this about 10 times, but it actually won't. You guys know how I know that? Because this is smaller than 200, and this is bigger than 20. So 10 is going to be a little too big. If I try to go in 10 times, like 22 doesn't go into 19. So 10 is going to be too big. So I'm going to go down one. I'm going to try 9. So check it over here. 9 times 2 is 18. Oh, look at that. What a coincidence. All right, so it does work. It goes in perfectly. 198, no remainder. What's wrong with my answer?
It's negative.
It's negative.
0.
So I won't forget.
Joe will not forget. Okay. Where are we? 11?
Yeah.
Okay. Nadia, what is 11?
Oh, it's undefined.
Undefined, same as number 3. So they put both of those on the odds. So what's 10 going to be then?
0.
0. The other one. Okay. Hallie, how could we figure out 8 or 13? How could we figure out 13? Well, how many times 823 goes into 6,584? Should be pretty close to how many times does 8 go into 65? So Hallie, do you know how many times would 8 go into 65? 8. 8 times 8 is 64. So I would start by checking 8. So times 8. Okay, what a coincidence. Just happens to be perfect. Okay. Well, so the answer is 8. But is it positive or negative? Positive. Okay, by the way, this might be this could be how you guys show your work today. Putting it in the box wouldn't really help. I mean, you could put it in the box like 6,584 divided by, well, they're both negative, 823. But does the box really help in this case? No, because there's only one digit. 800 is too big for 658, so it goes into 6,000 immediately. Anyway, the box doesn't really help in that case. Yeah.
So like let's say we're doing a fraction for an answer, we want to reduce that to a decimal.
No, if it's a fraction problem, I want a fraction answer. If it's a
Okay.
decimal problem, you can do decimal answer. So 15, 16, you can put a decimal.
Okay.
If it starts out fractions, leave it as a fraction. All right. Now we're at 15. All right. Trace, remember how we did 15?
Would it be 5?
Okay, which one goes in the box?
Oh, wait.
61.
61. So 61 divided by, what was it, 12.2?
Yeah.
Okay, what was our first step here?
Flip the decimal.
Move the decimal. So that goes over once. So you gotta be careful because maybe the answer is 5, maybe the answer is 0.5. You gotta kind of watch out for that. If this decimal moves once, where's the decimal on 61?
There is at the very end.
At the end. If it's not showing up, it's at the end. So now it's right here. So now so basically we're doing 610 divided by 122. How many times does 12 go into 60? You could say how many times does 1 go into 6, but that's 5. So I think it will be a 5, yeah. So the decimal's right here, so it is a 5. You're correct. That was number 15. Okay, let's circle it. If there's the decimal at the end, you do not need to write it. Okay, and then the fractions. 17. So Keegan, what do we need to do for 17?
We do keep change flip,
Flip which one?
the second fraction.
The second one. So 11/8. Now it's a multiply problem. So what did we do on multiply problems?
Cancellation.
Yeah, we can reduce the 4 and the 11 and 9 don't reduce because they're not divisible by anything besides 1, which doesn't do anything. But we can divide both of these by 4. So this becomes a 1 and a 2. And okay, is this going to be positive or negative? Negative. So it's 1 times 11 and 9 times 2. And this shouldn't reduce when you multiply over here if you reduce this correctly. You don't really have to worry about it. All right. Austin, what do we do on 19?
Keep change flip. Keep change flip. Flip the second.
Flip the second one. So it's negative 22/3. So it is going to be negative. What's going to reduce on this one? 11 and 22 are both divisible by 11s. So 11 divided by 11 is 1. 22 divided by 11 is 2. 5 times 2. 1 times 3. Just leave it improper. Okay, yeah, let's show your work on 1 through 20. Okay, on 20, 8 turns into 8 over 1, right? But then you have to flip it. So it's 2/17 times 1/8. Okay, 25 and 26 and all those at the bottom, that kind of looks weird. What's going on 25?
It's just the fractions dividing each other.
Yeah, it looks kind of like this, 2/3, 5/4. So what's this mean?
2 divided by 5.
Yeah, it means this. Okay, it's just kind of a weird way of writing that. Alright, so you can just use the division button on your, since we're past 20, you could use the division button on your calculator, or you could do by hand, I guess, if you want to. The division bar and the division button are a little bit different, but in this case it'll be fine. We'll talk about that more when we do order of operations. Alright, let's jump to 29, I guess, the last part, the word part. So 29 through 33, you're supposed to kind of interpret what they mean by those and solve them, just like we've done the past couple days, 3 days. 81 divided by the opposite of 3, that would be what?
-3.
Yeah, 81, you can use the division bar or division symbol. 81 divided by -3 is what that means. Does anybody know what that one is? Negative 27. Okay, that's 29. Okay, the quotient means the answer to a division problem, so 31 is 9 divided by 2. You could write that as a fraction or a decimal. I don't really care. How about the ratio of 11 and 4? This is number 33. The ratio of 11 and 4, what does that mean? It's just, ratios are kind of like fractions. It's just 11 divided by 4. Which equals, well, 11/4, or you can do the decimal. Okay, that doesn't divide well, so when 11 doesn't divide by 4, it's equal to 11/4. You could turn it into a mixed number, you don't need to. You could turn it into a decimal.
So kind of like number 31.
31, yeah, you could leave it as a fraction, as an improper fraction, or you could turn it into a decimal. Yeah, either one. Okay, and then there's one kind of word problem, 34 and 35, well, one even. 35, let's look at that. It says, if an equilateral triangle has a perimeter of 2 2/5. What's an equilateral triangle?
Equal and all sides.
All three equal sides. So the perimeter is 2 2/5. Guess what they're gonna ask? What's the length of one side? Because what does perimeter mean? All three sides together equal that. So how are we gonna find one? Divide by 3. So you could do divide by 3, or if you do it in fraction version, that'd be the same thing as multiplying by 1/3. Doesn't really matter. If you plug in your calculator, these will give you the same answer. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it comes out as, should come out as 4/5. Alright. Don't skip all the odds. You do need to do them, even though I didn't do them all. But I skipped the odds you could use a calculator on, so if you want to do that.